You've fallen into my gate trap on this episode of Battle Guides featuring Khadath. Khadath is a brawler who has amazing speed as well as great positioning effects. However, this comes at the cost of having generally low stats, being very reliant on his unique ability, as well as needing proper positioning management in order to be effective. Khadath's unique ability is Gate Trap. Khadath starts the game with one Gate Trap marker off of the field. Khadath's various attacks allow him to place the Gate Trap marker onto the field. Now, this Gate Trap marker does not take up space or prevent opponents from moving onto them and so on and so forth. It's a marker. The thing about it though is that an opponent who enters the marker space cannot leave that space in the same movement. However, they may do so as part of a later movement. This means if your opponent has a really big movement effect that moves like 7 spaces or whatever, if the Gate Trap is there, they get stuck. However, if they have multiple small movement effects like various advanced 1 spaces, they can easily bypass the Gate Trap marker. Now, upon reveal, an opponent adjacent to the Gate Trap marker's space receives priority -1 for the rest of the beat. If they are on the Gate Trap space, however, they receive priority -3 instead. This unique ability is quite devastating and honestly, my favorite thing about this character. Khadath's unique ability is not only a giant speed boost if you think of the priority minus for the opponent as a priority plus for yourself, but it also allows Khadath to easily manage his opponent's position. Don't want the opponent to be near you? Gate Trap. Don't want the opponent to get far away from you? Gate Trap. The thing about this though is that it oftentimes leads people to think that Khadath's a ranger who likes to keep people away using his Gate Trap. This is wrong. Khadath doesn't want to stay at max range all the time and then prevent the advances using his Gate Trap, simply because of the fact that he's not really effective at doing that. Not a lot of his styles have great range and he doesn't have a lot of poking tools. However, if you use your Gate Trap as if it were a means to control your opponent's positioning instead of just a keep away tool, you'll find much greater success with Khadath, because as you can see, he can duel and brawl from almost any space on the board while easily cutting off opponent options using his Gate Trap. Keep this in mind and you'll have great success with Khadath, and trust me, it'll be tons of fun. Now let's go to Khadath's styles. Khadath's styles will be ordered a bit differently from everybody else because I have to talk about 2 first. They are very, very important to the way Khadath plays. Let's start off with Evacuation. Evacuation has decent range and some decent nothing else. You see, it only has +0 to 1 range, +0 power, and +0 priority. The thing about this though is that the start of beat effect and the passive effect are very amazing. Start of beat, you place Khadath's Gate Trap where Khadath is, and then Khadath retreats 1 space. And then passively, opponents on Khadath's Gate Trap can't hit Khadath. This is a very interesting ability because if you dodge back and your opponent advances into your Gate Trap, you can easily make them miss, making almost any drive plays or stuff like that very hard to hit. The thing about this though is that if your opponent's already on the Gate Trap marker, it's very unlikely that the passive effect will work out for you because Start of Beat makes you move the marker onto your space. Now the thing is, this is one of Khadath's moves that allows him to place the Gate Trap onto the board. Note that Khadath doesn't start with the Gate Trap on the board, and it's very important that he gets it on the board ASAP because it's just that good and just that crucial to the way he plays. So we talk about this first because you have to play this on beat 1 or the other one on beat 1 or something similar because it's just that good. Now when it comes to attack pairs, I highly recommend pairing this thing with Grasp. Grasp is very effective because it allows you to dodge the opponent and then you can grasp them onto the marker's space so that they miss almost all the time. However, if you don't want to do that, you can also pair it with his unique base, Snare. Snare is very interesting because it doesn't allow you to move Khadath's Gate Trap. If the opponent is already on the Gate Trap marker, doing this will get you a free hit almost all the time, so long as they don't move away from your Gate Trap. Now the next one is Blight. Blight is very interesting. It has +0 to 2 range, +0 power, +0 priority. However, again, the start of beat effect is killer on this thing because you can place Khadath's Gate Trap onto any space within the range of this attack. Given that this attack has +0 to 2 range, that's a very big amount of space for almost any melee attack, and if you have any ranged base, it's practically everywhere on the board by that point. Now, not only is that very effective, it's also one of the other effects that allows Khadath to put his gate trap onto the board, which is very crucial if you want your gate trap to be on the board and for you to be an effective character. Again, one of Khadath's biggest boons is his gate trap, and having it off the board is very, very bad. Now, this can be used to, again, counter a lot of drive plays as well as a lot of burst plays, because you can put it behind the opponent as well to prevent their bursts from working. Now, when it comes to attack pairs, I highly recommend pairing this thing with Strike. Strike benefits a lot from the added 0 to 2 range. Simple as that. And it also counters Strike's biggest weakness in Burst. So all of that combined makes it a very powerful attack. However, you can also pair it with Burst. If you want to burst really safely and counter the drive that might happen afterwards, you can easily play Blight Burst, burst away, and then put the gate trap between you and the opponent to prevent his advance. It's a pretty powerful attack, and it deals 3 damage. Now we move on to the other styles. Next up is Lure. That's an absurd amount of range. If you calculate it, it's basically full board range on any base you play. That's absurd. On hit, Khadath can pull the opponent any number of spaces towards him. However, this bypasses the gate trap's usual movement restrictions, which means that if the gate trap is between you and the opponent, you can still pull the opponent all the way towards Khadath. Now, the thing is that you can't pull the opponent past you with this, which means that if you've cornered your opponent, there's no way for you to literally toss him into the other side of the board. Though that would be absolutely hilarious. Now, this attack is very, very amazing because it's one of Khadath's biggest ranged attacks, and it basically allows Khadath to hit full board all the time. This is a very powerful tool, especially against opponents who try to keep away from you because, again, Khadath's not a purely ranged character. Now, when it comes to attack pairs, I highly recommend pairing this thing with Strike. Khadath gets a lot of use out of Strike because he just has so much range. This full board range Strike that deals 3 damage is really, really good because almost nothing dodgy will ever dodge it. Now, I also recommend it very well with Grasp because it takes advantage of the priority and it technically allows you to put the opponent past you if you pull them all the way and then grasp them behind you. Next up is one of my favorite Khadath styles, and it's Teleport. Teleport is slow, deals some damage, and has no range. But the big thing about it is the 2 effects you'll see. Passively, opponents, if the gate trap is between you and an attacker, that opponent's attack does not hit you. Which means that so long as the gate trap is between you and the opponent, you get free dodges, which is really, really good. However, the end of beat effect is also killer because it allows Khadath to move directly onto any space on the board and then move his gate trap onto any space on the board. It's very powerful as a positioning tool as well as a dodging tool that deals a lot, and I mean a lot, of damage. Now, the thing about this though is that it's very slow, so you really have to watch out for opponents who can easily cross your gate trap. Now, when it comes to attack pairs, I highly recommend pairing this thing with Shot. Shot benefits a lot from this because of the fact that you have to be somewhat far away from the opponent for this to work out. Shot has the most range and therefore allows you to do the thing better. Now, if that doesn't work or if the gate trap is behind you, I also highly recommend pairing it with Burst. Burst allows you to burst past your gate trap so that you can, well, get the gate trap between you and the opponent. That's pretty much it. It's still a very powerful attack that benefits a lot because Burst is slow and Teleport's already slow, so it doesn't really matter at that point. And finally, we have the big payout attack, Hunters. Hunters is a very powerful attack. It might seem blank from the start, but the reveal effect reveals how dangerous it can truly be. Because on reveal, if the opponent is adjacent to or on the gate trap space, you gain power +2 and priority +2. That's insane. That's totally insane because of the fact that the gate trap, if your opponent's adjacent to or on the gate trap, it already means they're getting the priority penalty from the gate trap. This effectively makes Hunters a style that has power +2, priority +3, or power +2, priority +5. Either way, it'll deal a ton of damage and it'll be really scary for your opponent. Now, when it comes to attack pairs, I highly recommend pairing this thing with Drive. Drive gives it the hit confirm it so desperately needs, and well, pretty much is one of the fastest plays you can make. However, if that's not your thing, I also recommend it with Shot. Shot might not seem like the best thing paired with this because Shot's one of your slowest styles. However, the hit confirm on Shot plus the immense amount of priority you get from this style is more than enough to make up for that low priority. In fact, a Hunter's Shot can go as fast as 7 priority, and a lot of characters can't beat that. And finally, we have Khadath's unique base, Snare. Snare is range X, power 3, priority 1. It has stun immunity and a couple of interesting passive effects. Passively, you can't move Khadath's gate trap this beat. It's probably so that you can avoid cheating it with Evacuation or Blight. However, it also says here that the range of this attack is the space adjacent to and the space your gate trap marker is on. This basically means that you have 3 spaces on the board that this attack will hit. It's very powerful, especially for characters who like to hug your gate trap because they don't really care about the priority penalty that comes from it. Slow characters like Cadenza or Pendros or whatever really don't care about the priority penalty, so they usually just hug your gate trap most of the time. This is a great way to punish them because the range in this thing is exactly where the gate trap is and the space is adjacent. Now, when it comes to attack pairs, I highly recommend pairing this thing with Evacuation. Again, this is a great punish to people who hug your gate trap, and Evacuation makes that punish even worse because they can't even retaliate against you. However, if that's not your thing, you can easily pair it with Hunters. Hunters might not make a lot of sense. Why would you pair this thing? It's stun immune. But the thing about it is that Hunters only works if your opponent is on or adjacent to the gate trap. Snare only works if your opponent is on or adjacent to the gate trap. It's a very powerful attack and it's still 6 priority, which is nothing to scoff at. It'll deal at least 5 damage to your opponent and it will make them cry hoo. Khadath's 2 overdrive finishers are Dimensional Exile and Planar Crossing. Dimensional Exile is a game-ending comeback overdrive finisher that has really poor range but intense power. You see, this attack only hits the space where your gate trap is, meaning that if your opponent's on the gate trap, that's the only time you'll be able to hit this overdrive finisher. But the big benefit you get is that you basically win. It deals 25 damage in a game where the max HP is 20. It practically kills almost anyone in the game, and it's also stun immune. However, the biggest thing about it though is that your opponent might dodge it very easily if they have access to their drive, dash, or burst. This is a very powerful attack, but it's very inaccurate. However, if you find a way to trap your opponent onto your gate trap, you're golden. Of course, the thing is that you don't have to use this overdrive finisher to benefit from it. Again, a lot of opponents like to hug your gate trap because they don't care about the priority penalties. Make them regret that with this overdrive finisher. If that's not your thing, maybe Planar Crossing is your thing. Planar Crossing is a medium-range overdrive finisher that deals okay damage but is really fast if you consider that the gate trap still gives opponents priority penalties. Now, on hit, you can rearrange the board however you like, moving all characters and markers wherever you want. This basically gives Khadath free reign on how the board will look like next beat. Knowing what your opponent's attack pairs in the discard will be, you can easily put them in a position that will make them almost always lose and make you almost always win. It's a very powerful attack, but it might be inaccurate, especially if your opponent has access to his burst. Now, when it comes to using a special action, Khadath is a brawler and therefore loves using his cancel. Sometimes opponents just really mess up Khadath's plays if they have access to the correct amounts of movement. Get rid of that movement with your cancel. However, if that's not working out for you, maybe you want to pulse. Pulse is also an interesting option for Khadath as well, because it allows Khadath to basically rearrange the board and get positioning advantage. As a very position-reliant character, this is a very important thing to remember and a very important thing to do. Note, however, that even though it says that on the card, you can't move markers with a pulse, so don't even try it. Now let's move on to the part that everybody loves, Khadath Advanced Strategies and Combos. Khadath Advanced Strategies can be summarized into a few simple points, mainly 3. Number 1, trap management. You have to manage your trap very well, and by that I mean you have to use it effectively. Khadath's gate trap is not a keep away tool. Khadath's gate trap is not just there to look pretty and be basically a pseudo bad Caitlyn, because that's not how Khadath works. Khadath can easily fight in melee range, mid range, long range, any range. Khadath's biggest advantage is being able to use the gate trap in order to manipulate his opponent's positioning, making sure that they're fighting at the range Khadath wants or the range the opponent doesn't want to fight in. So use your gate trap and use it well. Use Blight, Evacuation, and Teleport to easily manage where your gate trap will be, and I can assure you victory if done well. Number 2, early game. Khadath's early game is horrible. See, the thing about it is that a lot of Khadath's power comes from his gate traps, but his gate traps not on the board to begin with. This is a very, very big predicament, which basically shoehorns you into using either Evacuation or Blight in order to get your gate trap on the board and start being awesome. Don't worry though, because Khadath is a character with very few weaknesses, and his biggest weakness really is that first beat, wherein he basically has to use Evacuation or Blight. The thing about it though is that you have to make sure that your early game doesn't suck. Try to not be predictable with the bases that you play with your Evacuation and Blight, and you'll be golden. Just make sure that you don't get utterly destroyed or don't get your gate trap onto the board as early as possible, because if you do that, you might as well be playing a blank character. To add on to this, Khadath's early game is still really bad to the point that 2 of his styles are virtually useless on beat 1. Hunters and Teleport do nothing if the gate trap is not on the board. So make sure that those 2 cards are in your discard at the start of the game, or else you'll be playing with a really bad hand. And finally, Deceptive Speed. Now I say that Khadath's a very fast character, but in reality, he barely has any priority pluses on his cards. In fact, I think he doesn't have any aside from Hunters. So why is he fast? The thing is, his gate trap gives him priority +1 or priority +3, in effect. And that's very powerful, and it's something you might easily forget because of the fact that the gate trap's so powerful even without that effect. Remember that the gate trap makes you one of the fastest characters of the game, so use that to your advantage. He's not like your typical ranger, because Khadath is actually a really speedy brawler who can decimate people at any range. So take advantage of the speed you get from your gate trap and make sure to never forget it, because it can win you games. Trust me. Now let's move on to some Khadath combos. Number 1 is Evacuation Snare. I find Evacuation Snare to be very cute and very effective. A lot of opponents don't see it coming, and if you hit it, you hit them for 3, which is really, really, really good. It's not that bad. It's stun immune, so it gets rid of a lot of the insta stun effects or whatever, and it's a pretty easy attack to hit most of the time. And of course, if you do get it right, you dodge the opponent and deal 3. It's not that bad. Next up is Blight Burst. Blight Burst is very, very powerful because it basically allows you to dodge out of the opponent's way and still counter drive, which is Burst's biggest weakness. It's a very powerful attack, and it basically lets you get your gate trap onto the board ASAP, which is very, very powerful indeed. And finally, we have Hunter's Drive. Hunter's Drive is also very powerful. In fact, if you get the drive correctly, if you get the positioning correctly, this thing is a range 1 to 3, power 5, priority 9 attack, which will be absurdly powerful against almost anyone without their dash. This thing hits for a truckload and is one of the most powerful attacks you have. Use it when you can. And that pretty much does it for this episode of Battle Guides featuring Khadath. If you guys like the video or like the character or like the game, check the description out below for more level 99 game stuff. I'm sure you'll find something you'll like. Now, if you want to talk to me or any of the other BattleCON veterans, check the description out below for our forum and website so you can join our community and share your info with us. Or if you want to send me a comment, an email, a fan letter, a question, or whatever, check the description out below for my video or go to the comment section down below to ask me any question you want. I will reply as soon as possible. Khadath is my main. Like, I mained him when War just first came out. He's my favorite war character that's legal, like, you know, he's tournament legal. Because my true favorite is Robert the Saint, who is a promo character. Now, Khadath is absolutely powerful, and one story I'd like to give you guys is that I thought Khadath sucked. Like, really bad. That's not just because he was still really weak back then, because teleport didn't have the entire dodge of the gate traps between you thing, which I know made it really bad. But the thing about Khadath was the fact that I used him as a ranger, and that wasn't the best idea. Because Khadath is not a ranger at all, and I really actually had to mull over it. I even emailed Brad about it. I was like, Brad, why does Khadath suck? I can't use him right. And Brad's like, no, Marco, you have to use the gate trap. And I'm like, use the gate trap? And he's like, yeah, you have to use it to cut off position and use it for the speed and not just as a keep away tool. And as soon as I did that, instant main. Khadath is a character with very few weaknesses, and he's just all about overall consistency and overall attrition. So it's very, very amazing for someone like me who likes to play that way. So I hope you guys like this new video. Give me some feedback about the mic. This mic is new and I don't know how to set it up properly yet. So if you guys think it sounds weird or it's a bit too echoey or whatever, tell me in the comment section down below and I'll try to fix it right away. Without anything else to say, don't forget your special action, and thank you, World of Indines. Thank you and good night.